Welcome to episode 7 of the FD podcast with me, Scott Francis. Some of you may know me as Francis Diet. Today it's a different one and one I'm going to really enjoy. Obviously, with my main page and the podcast, this is a mindset, fitness, and a lifestyle podcast. So we're going to drop right in with a very good friend of mine, Kevin Christie. You will know him as Majestic, not DJ Majestic or any other permutation. Obviously, he's a pro, so I'm a little bit nervous today, but we're going to go straight in with something a lot of you will know we've done together, which is Project 365. And so many people have messaged me to ask me about Project 365, how it's gone, and more so, why Project 365 has been more of a lesson, I think, than we both thought. One thing I will say is everyone who follows my page, and if you don't, at Francis Diet, is everything, in my opinion, that revolves around your diet and your exercise is a mindset battle. It is, in my opinion, how you can deal with life, trauma, and your past experiences. And I think Kev will agree that, and shout out to him doing amazingly heartfelt Instagram reel the other day. We've had some revelations, haven't we, mate?
Absolutely. First and foremost, episode 7, which of course means Sonny for me and you being Spurs fans.
It does, 100%.
And seeing that final together.
Yeah,
so we have to take that moment in again,
one of
wouldn't
my,
it? As the Spurs
memories.
fans. That was some of the joy during Project 365. But yes, so Project 365, of course, was a journey that we embarked on together last October, where we looked at, right, if you change your mindset for a year and you're like, right, I'm going to focus on my health and gym and stuff like that, how much can you achieve? And of course, we go into that thinking, right, get my head down. Bearing in mind, I've worked with you before, during lockdown, and we've, I lost 4 stone in 4 months, which was, again, the trajectory that we did this time round. And it's like, yeah, cool, we'll fly. Imagine what you can do in a year. And for those that don't know, because of course, and here's some advice for you for your podcast. This thing's called no assume knowledge. So never assume that the listener knows anything. So for those that don't know, I am a now Grammy nominated music artist, DJ, producer, radio presenter, father, husband, son, brother, football coach, friend, what else? Manager. Business owner. So yes,
which is part of the journey.
Yeah, exactly. All of these different things and different caveats around the brand Majestic and the person Kevin. So it's a very full-on lifestyle. Like this morning, before coming here speaking to you, you was like, "Oh, enjoy the spa." I said, "I wish." I literally booked this particular hotel because I wanted to go to the spa. Haven't been to the spa. Why? Because this morning I was doing my Kiss Dance show. Which I've still got to finish because later on I'm at the Chris Eubank and Conor Ben weigh-in because I DJ at those events. So
which is in London, and
we're in Liverpool. Yeah. So it's a very hectic lifestyle. So yeah, as I said, back to Project 365, we embarked on this thinking, right, if we put this at the front of my brain, we're going to do really well. Big shout out to everyone who was on the journey with me, yourself, my wife Emma, my manager, Mickey, who's my business partner, one of my best friends, Will from beyond Chicago, Gaz from my Same Old Spurs podcast, Peter Kennedy, one of my good friends. We had a little community of people together. And, as I said, going really well, smashing the gym, we're there every time. And that's because from the months of whenever it was, October till, say, March time, I was here, I was present. But even in that time, I was going to Riyadh, doing boxing events there. But luckily, in that environment, you're kind of like a boxer. You're in camp.
No alcohol.
Yes,
everyone's focused on physical
exactly.
stuff.
So we're in. Big shout to Brennan from the Lion's Den, and
Big Bren,
and all the boys there, who really got behind me. And the support that I got for it was amazing. And the energy around all of it was, again, at the start, dopamine inducing. Beautiful. You're on it. And then, as moments like this happen where you wake up in the morning, you're in a hotel room somewhere far away.
On your own.
Without
that.
Yeah. And you've gone to bed 2 hours ago and then you're up for a flight to New York in 2 hours time and then you're on a plane. And so like the hectic lifestyle really become such an issue for me. And, the one thing I'll say about what you do, it works. If you stick on plan and you don't lie, you don't bullshit, it works. You get the results, 100%. It's a proven fact. So, for example, when you're coaching someone, you're like, do as I say, it will work. It's the same with me with music.
Yeah, we're very similar to that.
Yeah, I'm a consultant for things, and I don't mess around. I'm like, that's rubbish. That's not going to work, and it's not going to sell.
Yeah.
So don't do it.
Yeah.
So we're very similar like that. And I think one of the most difficult things for you to process with me was you are a machine over here. I don't even know how you do that. So how do you not bring this into your life of health and, well-being?
And do you know what? And I was saying to your wife, the team, it's hard for me because what you do as a DJ, producer, mentor is like, I've been on the phone to you and you've been sending me videos from an airport in 3 different countries in 3 days. So I'm like, the diet is easier than this.
Yeah.
This is actually the hard part you're doing and you're the best at it.
Yeah.
People come to you to find the machine mentality within that industry. So you're right. Do you feel like that's something that was hard for you to translate, is the fact that why am I so successful here, but I can't do this? And obviously we'll talk about why.
Yeah,
there's a clinical reason.
Absolutely. And, being able to lock in and focus the way I can hyper focus like no other. Yeah, and when it comes to crunch time,
low sleep. Jesus.
Even down to, I look back at like my GCSEs, like considering I didn't really revise for my GCSEs. I got 1 A star, 2 A's,
smart man,
3 B's, 4 C's. But the A star I got, right, was in English literature. I didn't read the book. It was Lord of the Flies.
Oh, Lord of the Flies. Yeah.
I read some of it and read the bits in class, but I didn't read the book. I didn't even watch a film. It was the way I answered the questions, because you just have to basically go back and, psychoanalyze the questions.
Yeah, they give you a paragraph.
And throw it back. Yeah. But it's just like, so in a test environment, I can hyper focus and deliver. And, even down to like this morning coming to see you, I'm literally finishing doing a radio show. You're sat outside. My time blindness is insane. And as I said, we're going to come to the understanding of what that all is. But yeah, hectic lifestyle, hectic voices inside, and the brutality of the industries that I work in taking its toll. And for me, of course, if those that do follow, I've been a very open book about my mental health struggles over the years. I'm an ambassador for CALM, which is the Campaign Against Living Miserably, a suicide prevention charity for men, because the biggest killer for men between 15 and 55 is suicide, which is insane. So, I've always been very open with my struggles, etc., and I've battled. And the thing is, it's not something that goes away. It's a constant battle. And for me, a trigger, a moment, bang, it can just sabotage everything. And that happened. And that happened during our process, and it like knocked me for 6. And yeah, it becomes very hard when I'm in that spiral to then get out of it.
Do you find you fight with that? Because obviously you're someone who doesn't have that happen in your business life.
No.
And that must be hard for you to kind of, there'll probably be no moment in your business career where you'll spiral and fall off business. Music, you're always there and thereabouts. So how did you feel sometimes? Obviously going in this process, we were very public about it.
Yeah.
You had all the huge boxing leaders, music people commenting, obviously getting behind you, rightly so. Were there moments then in the process where you were confused about the spiral? Because it must be hard to be this leader in one respect and then see yourself abjectly failing in others.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, with hindsight, the amount of pressure I'd put myself under by doing that publicly, because I'm like, if I fail this, wow, everyone's going to think I'm a failure. And already in my head, my voices often are like, you are a failure. The negative thoughts are, even though I'm successful in various areas, for whatever reason, your voice is like, nah, mate, you ain't good. You're not going to do this. You're going to fail. And there are people that are waiting for you to fail. And I even, at some points, when people ask for updates, I thought, they just want to know that I fucked it up. Yeah. And that's how it felt. And I was just like, even though you got loads of this support. So that's really difficult. But as you said, in my work life, I'll be there at the gig and I won't be late. And I'll be there and I'll deliver and I'll be on my radio shows. I'll be at TalkSport. And that's the most difficult thing to understand. And it's very poignant because, again, I look back at certain public figures and, the late, great Gary Speed, right? one of his last public appearances, he was on Match of the Day before. He was a Football Focus.
Happy as Larry.
Happy as Larry. You would never know that behind that smile was was his mind going, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
You know? And that's unfortunately like the kind of place that, you know, I got to in the summer because I just felt like I wasn't here. I wasn't present. You know, I was going between all these different places. I'm playing all these shows. Like I'm playing with David Guetta at Ushuaia. I'm playing with David Guetta in Ushuaia, and I'm sat in the green room going, I don't want to be here.
That dopamine smashing in and out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that those incredible highs and then the lows. As I always say, the silence is deafening. Like when you go back to that hotel room afterwards, and after all of that adulation, and you go back to that room, and bearing in mind, again, in the environment I'm in, to not really be a boozer, and I don't do drugs. I've never had a line of cocaine in my life. Never, you know. Obviously, man's a little bit of urban that, but it's from the ground. But, you know, never done coke. No, nothing like that. And when I say it's readily available in my industry, it's there all the time, ever present. And, you know, so I've been able to abstain from that. Then that's when it comes to like trying to find that dopamine fix, and then finding yourself binging on sugar and things like that, not only just for a dopamine hit, but to stay up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because I'm going toe to toe with people that are using substances.
Yeah.
How do I stay up? A bit of chocolate, you know what I'm saying? So all of those things that can then completely F your diet up, everything you've done well, and then all of a sudden, because you've messed it up for that one evening, I've ruined the whole thing.
The self-hate comes in then.
So it's one hell of a journey and a battle, and a journey that I got to towards the end of and felt like I failed it. But I think there's an expression about failure. Failure doesn't exist. It's a lesson, isn't it? And the lesson that I've learned from it has been more powerful than ever.
Can we take it back to the David Guetta moment? Because I think some people will see hyper success and they won't truly understand. I was watching a podcast a few weeks ago with an ex-NFL player, and someone said, yeah, but I get it, they're highs, but you've got your kids and things. He said, let me stop you there, and I love my kids. The high of being the top, the pinnacle of your industry is louder than anything you can equate to, and you can't empathize with me. And he said respectfully, how does it feel then to be in Ushuaia? And for everyone who hasn't been to Ushuaia, regardless of what music genre you love, it's an amazing place in the middle of the summer. You're in Ibiza, arguably, Mykonos, Miami, it's the clubber's paradise. You're there with arguably the highest earning DJ on the planet. You're in your element. That must feel in itself like the Mount Everest of success. So we're not talking about normal dopamine. We're not talking about, and again, I'm not contextually saying anyone's life is any better. We're not talking about down in Romford on a weekend or you know, 100%. Shout out to Romford, you know. But how does that feel then being in the hotel on your own with, some people tell me they struggle after dropping the kids off, going home with the cravings. You've just gone from arguably a DJ's paradise to sitting in the hotel. At what point in that summer bit when we spoke, did you realize things might be deeper than simply, I'm at the top of my game, I feel terrible?
It was those moments in like I said, the hotel rooms, you go home afterwards and the quietness kicks in, because that's when you become alone with your thoughts. And like you said, David Guetta, probably one of the most famous DJ producers in the world in terms of electronic music, is someone, you know, that I'm now able to call Dave. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And, you know, it's crazy. And sometimes you don't even realize it's all going on. So sometimes you've got to step back and have a look at, wow, I've gone from Rudolph's in Tottenham to, like you said, the world's biggest stages. And then afterwards, and you go from the gig and you go, but I'm still not happy. That's when it's a problem. And a problem that a lot of people would think was just a normal problem. It's just me. It's just a normal come down. But you knew it must be deeper. Yeah, because I was finding no joy in anything. As soon as I felt at a point and I had a bit of a hard internal conversation with myself, I was like, I'm not finding any joy anywhere. Where's the joy? Like, I look around, I'm playing music, I'm like, And again, there is definitely some environmental things of that. Post-COVID, I think crowds have changed and stuff like that. So I'm trying to work out whether or not it's an environmental thing or it's within me. You know, crowds have changed, and I think COVID shifted the energy of the world.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it feels like we're in a parallel universe sometimes. So there's that. But yeah, like I said, when I was, you know, I love this. I've spent my whole life working towards this. Why am I walking away from it with no exchange? Like, I don't care about money. I did this not for money. That's how I started. So if I don't get any soul exchange from something, I'm like, why am I here? Why am I doing it? Because that's more important to me than any kind of money. I would sooner take a gig for free because I love it than get paid thousands of pounds to do something I don't love. So yeah, it was going through that process of being on autopilot. I felt like I was on autopilot. And then I was just going through the summer, okay, cool. And again, I started feeling like I only felt joy from food. Like that. So when I'm like binging on sweet stuff, it was like, well, that's where I'm going to get my joy from. That second hit. Because you do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everybody.
You know?
Even people without food focus get it.
Yeah. And you realise that's where my buzz was coming from almost. And
imagine describing to someone who has buzzes everywhere because of different things we'll talk about soon, and then saying to you, Kev, well, oh, come on, I know you haven't got buzzes anywhere else. That's a massive thing. To go through a 24-hour period with those highs and then say, well, I'm still abstaining from chocolate and food, so in theory, I'll have no buzz at all anywhere. A lot of people will then go, actually, I can probably see why it was so hard. Because everyone else will get a little bit of buzz here, a little bit of buzz there. You're talking about being flatlined.
Yeah.
And then still abstaining. And it's what I, as your coach and friend, realized quite quickly was the fact that it wasn't going to be a typical, well, you just have to dig in on the hard times. Because to dig in, you have to have some kind of leverage. There has to be some good to be able to dig in.
Yeah.
Some people go down those horrible paths because there's no dopamine anywhere anymore. And that's why I think you realized in that March period that it was deeper than that.
Yeah, 100%. And like even down to like reacting to things, you know, and like almost like I said, like with a coach, like being told off because I've made the wrong choice. Like everyone around me is trying to look out for me. So they're like, come on, like what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? And then when the consequences of that come up, it's just reaffirming that, hang on about it, you've effed this up and you can't have that. And it was the only thing that gave me any kind of satisfaction in that daytime was that moment of sitting there eating a bit of jam on toast.
Yeah, jam on toast thing. Yeah,
because it's at night, again, where you're like sat with your own thoughts and you kind of creating this environment of this is where I get my hit from.
Your only hit.
My only hit. And that's what I started realizing. And I've realized, we'll go later on when we talk about, you know, the steps I've taken now, that I realized that I look back and I'm like, almost like a you know, an addict who's maybe on heroin or something, you know, dark, a drug substance. They often talk about finding their safe space.
Yeah.
That they would go and do what they do and they repeat it in the same place again and again. And that's what I'm starting to realize mine was. And it was like, okay, this all makes a lot of sense now. It's that search for dopamine.
And I mean, again, I say this to a lot of people, and you, and I was chatting to Mickey, your manager, on the phone about it shortly afterwards. I realize now that a lot of people do suffer from a total lack of dopamine due to various things we'll talk about, and that for me to expect them to just summon willpower without dopamine is almost impossible. And I say this to people, I have a temper still. And people will say to me, but Scott, why can't you just control it? And I'm like, because controlled Scott isn't Scott when the temper kicks in. And it kicks in before rational Scott can then control it. So God knows what someone with no dopamine feels walking through life with pressures and stress. And what will most of us do? We will naturally do things on autopilot. You know, your autopilot it's a lonely place because of what we'll talk about soon. And I figured that because you are at the top of your game, the fall must be much bigger than I expected.
Yeah. Like I said, it's one of them things where then when you start to have an internal dialogue with yourself, because you've got all these blessings, like I've got an amazing family, amazing wife, incredible kids, you know, supportive friends, family, you know, even people who don't even know me that well, wishing me well and giving me energy. You know, you're thinking that voice in your head. I have a song about it, I wrote about it from before when I did Plain Old Kev, Invincible. That voice in my head, it makes me feel worse. Because then you start going, you ungrateful, so-and-so. Look at everything you've got.
Do better, do more.
You know, and you have discussions with your friends and you're talking about gratitude and you're like, yeah, no, I'm grateful for what I've got. Yet you're feeling like this. It's a confusing thing. It's so confusing and it's...
Yeah, because a lot of people will say, yeah, but with all these blessings, you should be able to.
Well, this is why, you know, when I have discussions about mental health and professional athletes, especially footballers, when they go, but he's paid 500 grand a week. I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I always say to people, I've had 100 grand in my bank and been suicidal, and I've been minus 20 and been suicidal.
And I think the Robin Williams and the huge amount of hyper successful people who've taken their own lives and struggle mental health should show you that the things around you. I think the guy from Lincoln Park said before he passed, he said, it's like your world closes in, so you can't see any of those.
No.
You're not aware of the bank and the cars and the fans. You're just in your own head.
Yeah, he even said, and up there, it's a dangerous place to be.
Because it's the most powerful place.
Yeah.
And I say this, and this is why I feel my plan works. And a few of you have taught me it doesn't at the same time, because if the up there isn't right, nothing matters.
Correct. And you know, until you can go internal and fix that, and it's like anything, isn't it? You can't build off of weak foundations.
Yeah.
And as strong as I feel in a work capacity and, you know, being bulletproof in that sense, underneath, like, wow, like understanding how much fragility is there is insane.
Was that hard for you, for being such a, because obviously people don't realize, you know, you're a 6'4" big guy, you're so confident, you've been an MC, you've done all the visually extroverted things. Was that hard? Because I find the hardest things for the big alpha males are to look in and go, that's a bit fragile.
I think for me, especially because, you know, being professionally known as Majestic, I have been Majestic since I was 12. And when I realized that it's been a coping mechanism, being Majestic is a mask. And, you know, people have it in, you know, neurodiverse situations. Masking is a thing.
Yeah.
And when you unmask, it's exhausting. Like, and you've been masking all day. That's when you go into the hotel room with the silence and yourself, just like, because I've even had it, like Emma, my wife, been up to school and...
Shout out to Em.
Yeah, big up to Em. Someone's gone up to her and gone, oh, Kevin's quite quiet, isn't he? Like, I'm like, do you expect me to turn up to school with like cymbals and like a kick drum on my back? Yeah. Hear me now and Shane. Like, I'm like,
Leo, school.
I am massively introverted extrovert. And like most people who are creative are like that. And, you know, and I always say to people, especially if you're into like producing and things like that, we're geeks. Like, do you know what I mean? Because
you are. People don't realize how intricate you are with your art.
Yeah, like because anybody that's sat there and spent time to learn DAWs, which are, you know, digital audio workstations, and how they work and compressions and EQs, there's something like strange about us because we're like obsessed with it. Yeah. It's an obsession. So again, you know, it's funny because there's another dad up the school, big up to David, who's very similar to me, and he's from Enfield as well, grew up, and, you know, he's got like a, you know, he's Nigerian, he's got Nigerian background, and obviously me growing up in North London with a lot of West African lads, you know, I know all about the fufu and the jollofs and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, culturally we're quite aligned, but we're so similar, like neurologically. And I see him come to school and he'll put his headphones on because he doesn't want to talk to anyone or whatever. But me and him, we'll talk and we'll have a good chat because we resonate with one another. And it's like, we just talk about the things our minds go through. And it's funny because he, in recent times, got diagnosed in his adult life having ADHD. And, you know, and him like telling me all of that kind of stuff triggered something in me to learn about what that is. Because that's the other thing. For such a long time, my wife's always said, there's something not right about you, but not in a bad way. Like
constructive kindness.
Yeah. And I'm just a bit different. And I think like one of the things that we learned, funny, and we still laugh about it, that I remember Emma was telling me a story and she's like, we're talking like this. I didn't react. I didn't do anything. And she goes, are you okay? Are you like a robot? Like, I went, it was neither funny or informative. I don't know what you want me to do with it. She's like, see, that's not right. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, cool. So, yeah, we started thinking, okay, you've got this inner dialogue, which is in a bad place. There seems to be something a bit off neurologically. And then it came to, I think, August. I had Emma and the kids there in Mallorca. Again, more blessings. My family are able to be in Spain for the whole of the summer holidays. You know, my in-laws live out there. You know, I was able to have an apartment there for the summer. My kids are having the best time of their life. My missus with her mum and dad and her brothers. It's brilliant. You know what I mean? Which
probably makes it harder because you're then internally thinking there's more gratitude to downplay the fact that why am I feeling so bad?
100%. And then again, because of my schedule, I'm leaving every couple of days to go over here, there, fly to Ibiza, come back and forth. And again, more time alone, more loneliness. And then even going back into your like family home on your own and they're back on holiday and they're having a great time. That's when the voices all start saying to you stuff like, maybe they're better without you. Maybe it's all sorted there. And perhaps you're like not like a drain, but like, they'll be all right without you. Do you know what I mean? And that's what like the torment you start going through in your head. And then again, as I said, autopilot. And it was my dad, who I'm very close with. He kept trying to meet up with me. He was like, when are you back? And I'm like, the weekend, but I'm here, I'm there. He goes, well, when you're around, I want to see you. So then I finally saw my dad. And I don't know, I think we went for some food or something, or he came round and then he was like in the garden and he was just like, what's wrong? I said, nothing's wrong. I'm cool, man. I'm good. Everything's wicked. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You've got this at the weekend. He goes, no. He goes, there's something there's something off with you. And I just broke down into tears to my dad. I said, I don't want to be here anymore. And he was like, imagine hearing that from your son. You know, you're a dad. And he's like, oh, please don't say that. And I was like, it's just how I feel, mate. Like, I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Like, he goes, but that's happening. And this is like, he goes, and my dad gets it. My dad proper understands it. Because he's, again, through his adult life and his journey, he's understood his mind now. And he was like, please, will you get help? And I was just like, I don't know what to do. You know, like when you just completely, and it did feel like a relief just having that moment of just complete, I don't know what to call it.
Vulnerability, isn't it?
Yeah, vulnerability, completely vulnerable. And like,
which again is alien to someone like you because in music, you're not vulnerable at all. You're
exactly.
impregnable.
And I'm a control freak of my work and stuff. And I'm going to someone else, here's all the control. I went, I don't know what to do. And he's like, get help. I'm like, I'd love help. I don't know where though. Like, he's like, please, will you see someone or you do? And again, like I've always, with therapy, I've avoided it.
And we spoke about it earlier in the year, didn't we?
I know.
And, you know.
And I avoided that.
Yeah.
And I avoided.
Because I think in a way though, and me looking back at it now, because you're so successful, and I know a lot of guys who, and obviously a therapist works for us, Hannah, a lot of guys do think they can just push through it. It'll come right. Yeah. It will. At some point, I'll find the solution anyway because of the blessings.
Yeah. Because I've even lied in the past to say I've had therapy so people would leave me alone.
I can imagine.
And then be like, oh, you've done therapy? Yeah, I've done therapy. Did it for a while. It was good. And I was just like, so it's another thing because perhaps I didn't want to go inside. Perhaps I didn't want to try.
Scariest place to be. I tell everyone this, you know, my own journey. When you really look yourself in the mirror and you truly look and you go, fuck.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. I say this to a lot of people. It's really easy to avoid yourself. Not other people, but you can avoid yourself all day long.
That's the easiest thing to do.
Easy.
And that's why, you know, potentially I've made myself this busy for all these years. All different things. There's never
Deflection and avoidance.
Yeah, 100%. And like, you know, even down to the point of, you know, like people go on beach holidays, they relax and read a book. Never me. I could never do that.
Can't do that anyway,
Yeah.
That's probably why, actually,
Yeah, but I understand probably why I can't.
Sitting in your own thoughts, potentially, actually, yeah.
100%. And it's like, you do anything. Let's go on an expedition. Let's do anything other than just sit there. And I can see people that can do that, and they're blissfully sat there.
Apparently, doom scrolling, the people who doom scroll the most are the most unhappy. Apparently, without doom scrolling, you tend to sit in your own positive actions, and a lot of people can't positively affect themselves because they know how paradoxically hard it'll be. For instance, you know, the beta region paradox says the next step is harder than staying in the misery you're in.
Yeah.
So to go through the next bit of misery is ultimately harder than being miserable where you are.
Yes.
But at the other side of it, paradoxically, is the best place. But it's like you said, but will it work? Can I do it? So you've had this chat with your dad. You've been the most vulnerable. You voice noted me. I remember late night, I was doing my supplements, and, you know, what made you then make these changes, which we'll talk about?
Well, it was just like, because again, being a bit of a people pleaser, and like my dad was like, please don't do anything stupid. Like he goes, like, you know, I can't even bear the thought of it. He's like, please get help. And so I said to him, if you get me the help, I'll do it. Because again, my mind, the way it works is I was just like, I would have just put it off and never done it. Yeah. So like literally, I sort of tasked my dad with the thing of finding me a therapist, and he's gone away and he's found 5 or 6, and he's sending me like these numbers and that. And I'm like, I'm not going to ring him now. I'm like, I know it sounds really childish and pathetic.
No, but isn't it honest?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, 9 months before, you would have said, okay.
Yeah, and just left it.
And left it.
Like you gave me your therapist's email.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it was like, so yeah, my dad rang them. And there was one particular one, he goes, this woman specializes in binge eating, ADHD, like autism, like all this kind of stuff. She's like, she sounds amazing. She used to do it for a job. She used to do assessments at Chase Farm Hospital where I was born. And she seems quite local. So my dad spoke to her, and then she messaged me, saying like, you know, can we have a quick chat on the phone and talk about stuff? And I remember I was in Ibiza going to do a show, and she called me. I was on the phone to her, and you know, she just felt really easy to talk to and felt quite warm just over the phone. And when I was telling her about my life and like my lifestyle, she was like, gosh, that sounds exhausting. Like even just her like little bit of empathy for that, I felt really like, oh, this feels like quite a safe space. Like, and I enjoyed talking to her. So I was like, yeah, cool. When I'm back, I'm going to come and see her. So that started my journey into therapy. Which again, in America seems like everyone walks around with a therapist next to them. But in our country, it doesn't feel like it's something that's talked about very openly.
The oddest part about the UK when it comes to therapy I found, and like we said on the way in, I coach a lot of stockbrokers, hedge fund managers, and a lot of Americans, and they'll be like, been downstairs chatting with the in-house therapist as if it's lunch at Quagliano. But what I find with the male attitude to therapy in the UK is, you've got to be weak to do it. Not LeBron James has a therapist, Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's coach, therapist, life coach. Tony Robbins is a therapist, self-anointed. In this country, you're almost seen as a failure if you want to level up through therapy.
Yeah.
And I had therapy last year after I came to terms with a few things, and it was honestly the best thing I'd done in a positive way.
Yeah.
So what, you know, because you messaged me straight after and you said, I've spoke to the therapist, I'm doing it when I get back. And I have to admit, I was like,
let's see. First one,
you know, because we're really honest as friends. Like, I'll say to you a lot of times that we did a mini 365 in between this first successful one. And I remember saying to you, I was like, Kev, no big speeches down the phone, no voice notes. Let's just do it, bro.
100%.
Because, and we didn't.
Yeah.
So we're on this one now. You realize there's things. How hard was it? Because some people will hear this and go, yeah, but I still can't see a therapist. How hard was it to then speak to a therapist?
Well, it's that first session when it's booked in. It's like, all right, cool, you're going to come see me at this time. And all of a sudden you're like, about to leave the house thinking, oh, maybe I need to do my kiss show. Maybe I need to do something else.
The excuses.
Yeah, you start thinking,
avoidance.
I'm going to message her and say, can we reschedule? Because I'm really busy today. Because I was busy.
Yeah.
So, but then there was a voice in my head that was like, you need to do this. And I think it's probably my dad's voice going like, you need to do this. You need to get help. And as like my dad said to me when he said about everything, it was like, you know, and again, because I'm a people pleaser and he's clever in what he's saying, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your wife and your kids because they deserve you. They deserve you. And I'm like, yeah, wicked. So that was the reason I was like, and again, the dopamine hit you get and understanding as we go through the therapy thing, it will make sense from pleasing people is massive. So like for me to walk out the door and have like, you know, the missus go, oh, wicked, he's gone to do that. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, you need a lot of positive reinforcement.
Yeah, I am.
Which is the opposite to me.
Yeah.
That makes me feel almost late. So if you said to me today, business is going really well, you're looking great, I'll slow down. I'm like, brilliant. Whereas, you know, if you said to me, mate, fucking hell, things look slow, I'd be like, motherfucker. So again, that's a different form of, you know, reinforcement.
100%. I need Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, 100%.
He'd be my coach.
Again, this is really important for people.
You'd have a Joe say.
Yeah, because I remember, I tell this quickly, first time I ever played basketball for Wales, got the letter through the post, Dad opened it and went, you're not a pro yet, and went to work. And I remember going, you're right though, I've tried that on other people and it breaks them. They literally spend 3 days. So you've got this, one thing I love about you, Kev, is you're never shy of actually, even if it didn't happen quickly, you reflect in really fast. Like you've just said to yourself, I realized that Emma saying that to me made me feel good. My dad arranging it made me feel good. That's not a negative.
No.
You know, I have people run around after me and people go, yeah, but you're so organized. I'm like, but not like that. And I don't mind saying to my wife or my PA, do that for me. I'm shit.
Yes.
So you've got this, you know.
But like you said, the like with your dad with the basketball thing, I go back to being 5 and my first school report was Kevin's lazy and will achieve nothing. So
that was out my mouth. I want to talk about. Yeah,
you know,
how far back did it go?
You know, that's when you're hearing that as a kid and that teacher is bringing you that energy. You need to get some reassurance from somewhere that you're good. And again, realizing now, even just speaking that out loud, that voice is stuck in my head. That's the voice in your head.
Yeah.
You're lazy and you'll achieve nothing. So it's just like, maybe they're right. And that fear and the anxiety. But yeah, back to the therapy, like walking out the door for the first time and going to see her and bearing in mind, it's amazing. She lives like 5 minutes from me, which is amazing. So she's got no excuses. And I went to see her and we just got talking and it was like, even her room is a real safe space. You know, she's got this amazing energy. You know, it's really nurturing and warm, to be fair. And yeah, and I just went there and we had a good conversation. And I was like, wow, that felt good, that did. Like coming out of it, I felt a bit lighter. I was like, and she was like explaining certain things to me. Like, this isn't a journey into resenting people or things that have gone on, you know, especially like your parents, because they have a massive part of how you brought up. And, you know, and she's like, but this is about making you better. And she's like, we're not going to talk about your marriage. We're not going to talk about your work. We're going to talk about you. She goes, because we can't assess any of those things without getting you to the best place you can be. And it was the first time I really thought about just me. Like, and again, you just, as I said, those thoughts on your own, she's just dialing in on me and there's no running away. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, let's talk about that over there. Let's talk about this. It's like, no, we're talking about you.
Well, you are 100 miles an hour as well. Yeah. And I can tell people he is 100 miles an hour. So do you think slowing you down to talk about you, because you can't move, it's not a DJ booth, you can't deflect, it's not the gym where you can joke about something.
Yeah.
Do you think her sitting you down and allowing you, Kev, to talk about you, Kev, was something you probably never done?
Absolutely.
To someone who at least actually understands the mind. Cause
absolutely. And the thing is as well, it's like, I say it, why does it feel so easy to talk about all this stuff to a
complete stranger.
Total stranger? But,
judgment.
Yeah, judgment, that's it. Because we all have like in my mind, right, for example, I know what your thoughts or feelings are about a certain situation. So therefore, I'm not going to tell you it.
Yeah,
so like, for example, like you say, like, if you're going to F up on the plan, at least be a man and tell me that you have. Don't lie to me, do you know what I mean?
That is the predilection for you not doing it because you don't want to tell me that. And this is the paradox I tell people. It's almost the people closest to you who you could potentially be honest with, you don't be honest with because the honesty itself is the disrespect.
Yeah.
It's such I've only learned it in a few years. So you're talking to this woman now with no fear of judgment.
And that's it. And it's just like, and again, and I started to, when I started telling her situations and stories, when I was like trying to either like sugarcoat them or change the event slightly to make other people look favourable.
Yeah.
So no. What? There's no judgment here. Like, and again, because they don't have a dog in the fight, you know, they're just looking at the situation and how it affects
Objectively,
you.
yeah.
Objectively.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, but that's okay. She's like, it's not okay. That's not okay. That's trauma. So then we started to learn about trauma and the nervous system and stuff like that, and the NAD, and I was like, oh my God, right? And I've always been told, especially going through, you know, clinical depression, that it's a chemical imbalance. And I never understood what that meant. I was like, is there something wrong with my brain? Is there? And then she's like, dopamine, serotonin. And I was like, okay.
Do you know the most ironic thing about depression? I always say this to people. If you want to explain depression to someone easily, say, if there's a reason for you to be depressed, you're not depressed. So for instance, and I say this to reserve judgment on people going through, if someone dies, that's grief. If someone leaves you, that's heartache. If you lose your businesses and you're financially destitute, that's panic because economic stability is important. That doesn't mean you're depressed. It means you're in a depressive, sad state. If you don't know why you're unhappy, that's clinical depression.
Yes.
And that's dangerous because, and this is what I've learned in the last 2 years, you can't feed it, finance it, or fight it. It has to be understood.
Yeah.
And for me, someone asked me the other year why I get better results this year. I said, because I've actually tried to find empathy. Because I didn't.
Yeah.
I used to paint everyone, and this is me being self-critical. You were all in the same boat. Try harder, do more, have better habits. Without me understanding if you even had a dog to start the fight.
Yeah,
you might have had a lame one-legged horse, and I'm like, get on a horse and race. They're like, my horse has got one leg and it's blind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so?
Because again, you're absolutely right in saying that, because like your rebuttal to something saying, if I'm in a bad thing, is like, well, I've got this client over here and they're stage 2 cancer and they can do it, so why can't you? And then you're like, makes you feel even worse. I'm like,
and I've learned, and the person with stage 2 cancer had the most supportive husband, no trauma in the childhood. All they've got, again, contextually, I'm not saying all they've got, because people will go, he just said all they've got is cancer.
No.
Anyone who knows me personally will know I can't ever say that. But I've learned that actually their race is totally different to yours.
Of course. And it's the same way with those incredible people that you see who are like, you know, not body able in certain aspects. They're able to climb mountains. I'm like, because you know what? Up there, they've got it.
You feel so shit.
I know. You look at them and go, incredible.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, and again, you know, and, you know, people that have to battle, anyone that's battling the big C, like you say, mentally up there to go through that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's a different battle.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what I think I want to get through from this podcast is your battle is yours.
Yes. And the other thing, do you know what? Especially being a Spurs fan, to bring up Ian Wright is sacrilegious.
Life battle.
Well, but we had some joy.
That's depression.
Yeah,
that's depression.
That's where it all started.
That's clinical. Yeah.
But I remember watching this program with Ian Wright, and it wasn't the one where he sees his old school teacher. That's a beautiful moment. But this was about growing up and abuse, right? And he basically, I think it was his stepfather, wasn't very kind to him. And he lived in a bit of a psychologically abusive house, as well as a bit of physical as well.
A bit.
And he said, like, on a Saturday night, his stepdad would make him stare at the wall. Match of days on, he's not allowed to watch it. You turn around, you're going to get licked.
Jesus.
Like, because he was, like, they'd paid to punish him. So he'd had this, and obviously he was on match day for so many years. So for him to get on that in the end, wow. But during that time, he had like a therapist around him, and he got brought into a group therapy session. And he sat there, and they're all telling stories. And this one, you know, amazingly strong lady was able to talk about, her growing up and being sexually abused by her father. Terrible, terrible stories. And Ian comes out of that therapy session. He said his piece. He goes, see, I'm all right. I'm not a victim. That poor girl over there. And the therapist said the first thing you've done wrong is try to compare your trauma with someone else, because your trauma and your journey is unique to you. What's happened to her is awful.
Yep.
But what's happened to you is awful.
And they're both awful to the same percent to each person.
Exactly.
Because everyone relatively values things differently.
100%. And that's what the point you're saying is, understanding that is a huge game changer. It's a game changer.
Taught me so much, because I've sent you DJs and said, but he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then now I know that the whole strand of energy behind him doing it is completely different. Yeah. And I say to a lot of people, I saw a billionaire talking about losing $1 billion the other day, and everyone said, yeah, but you got $1 billion too. I said, but you don't know what that's attached to. He could have been abused all his life, been a self-made success, and he attaches all his self-worth to his money.
Yeah.
Losing that can be like losing himself. And it's funny you say one thing about learning about yourself is, from what I've judged from being around you for so many years, is you are the most self-critical person in your life. And some people aren't. And that's the thing that I've also learned, is some people are really, really fucking void of any perspective.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, I don't really know. I'm like that. I'm not like, you're overly critical. And which is why I think you beat yourself with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that leads to self-sabotage.
Exactly.
And, I go back into my formative years as a teenager, where all of this was rife. Like, the chaos in my head was crazy. And that makes sense why I went from one group to another. Even though I got lots of friends, I was never not unpopular, etc. But I just, it's mad, because I was like, even like with some of my really close friends, I look at their sort of weddings or whatever else. I was never the best man. I'm the groomsman, because I'm not close enough.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not a one-on-one person. I've got bare different friends. And it's like, apart from Peter, I was his best man. But it's like, that makes sense with that, because I'm just like, avoidance of that, even getting close to somebody else, because they might want to psychoanalyze me and then sort of understand what's going on up here. And I'm like, I don't understand it. So that led to, even back then as a child, like self-harming. Like, as a youngster, I self-harmed. And it was like, again, it was a friend of mine at the time, who was a really good friend of mine, Liam. He caught me doing it, or he saw something on me. He's like, did you do that? And I was like, yeah. He's like, and he's quite a bit of a nice. You did it again, I'll beat you up. I was like, all right, I won't do it again. Like,
so what do you remember about those times? So obviously the trauma set in, whether it be physical resentment, personal resentment, something someone said to teacher. Self-harming, obviously, a lot of people can resonate with, because you can self-harm with food, you can self-harm with drugs. Physically self-harming, did that feel like a release? Was it a confusion, or?
It's when you feel nothing, you want to feel something. And you're like, even that's like, can I feel anything? Like, you feel, and there's a line that I am saying, Invincible, the Plain Old Kev track I did, which is, numb for so long, I forgot how to feel. And it's like, it makes so much sense. And it's like, even coming to this point in this journey now,
how old are you now?
38 now, yeah.
Some people will think that they're past it.
Yeah.
And you're obviously not.
Like, I was like, the whole time, it's like, I've just been numb. Yeah. Like, really numb. And, obviously, it's, moments. Your kids are born, you have moments, but it's
returning to that baseline flat.
Yeah, it's the baseline flat.
Told, yeah.
Yeah. So, the baseline's flat, then it's just the peaks, and it's the...
And I speak to a lot of clients who say, bought the dream car, one day later, felt like dog shit again.
Yeah.
There's no ability to hold dopamine.
No, none whatsoever.
The next thing. And that often does lead to, as we'll talk about, the food self-sabotage, because you can always get the food. You can't always get the next supercar, or the next David Guetta.
Correct. So, the long journey, even down to like in my mind, battling with my mind, even as a 15-year-old, I remember feeling and saying like, why do I feel like this? What is this? Like, it's almost like tormenting me. I even questioned my sexuality. I was like, am I gay? Like, no, I'm not gay because I like women. Like, I don't like men, right? So I've gone through all of these things to try and find out.
A load of men just switched off then. They're like, damn.
Damn. The bear's unavailable.
Yeah, he was theatrical until then.
Yeah.
The Bears. Shout out to the Bears.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I was playing in
the Pink Pound.
I was playing in Amsterdam once at a place called, what's the place called again? Oh, Will from Beyond Chicago went down. He's laughing, watching
Will
this.
will know.
He will know. Oh, God, it will come to me. But yeah, it was a crazy party. And there was a lot of fans of the Bear in there.
So yeah, but at 15, you're not equipped to even... That's why I say to parents who say, oh, my 15-year-old grew out of it. I said, well, they're not capable of growing out of it. They don't know their arse from their elbow.
No, and God, and obviously you're a father of a young daughter, in that age sort of bracket.
Yes, spot age.
With the phones and the social media, thank God we didn't have any of that at the time.
I argue I don't know if you'll agree, and this is a great thing just to cut away with for a few seconds. I think the 80s and 90s, because I'm 5 years older than you, but we're similar, 15, 20, phones 100%. Only just came in. I think it was brutal then because a lot of the things you were shown, you couldn't Google or ask a friend or see. For instance, everyone says the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Van Damme periods were misogynistic, very narcissistic. Yeah, but they were winning the battle, saving the girl, winning the day. You went gym, went football, saw the footballer, saw the Gary Mabbotts, the Gary Lineker, because you didn't have anything to look at. Now, you would look at, and I have to be careful not to contrast this against anything which I'll judge. You then, because, oh, Jesus Christ, things get clipped away. Do you think it was harder or easier not having access to anybody to ask if that was okay? Because I feel like it's a double-edged sword.
I hear you on a double-edged sword.
What I mean?
But I think, obviously, that's why you're left with your thoughts and on your own. I think that's what makes us stronger. I think as much as all of this has been, tormenting in some moments, I wouldn't have been able to cope with the music industry without having to have gone through all of that mentally myself. So I think all that, inability to know what things are because we can't Google it or whatever else, you have to go home and basically stick on a bit of music.
Well, you got to go left or right, don't you? Yeah. There's no other, You got
to go and vent. Okay, I stick some Slipknot on, go home and be really angry. And that was it. Like, or...
Massive fan.
Massive
fan.
You've been dumped by your girlfriend, or you found out
Nickelback is straight on.
your missus has cheated on you or whatever, and you're 16. You go home, you stick Evanescence on, and then you start crying to yourself. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of deal with it yourself. Whereas like now, you go online and you'd write how to deal with your missus cheating on you. Then you get loads of stuff. The next minute, Andrew Tate pops up going, your missus is cheating on you, means you're a loser. Yeah, you need to go to the gym. So I think we had it better.
I do. I said to you before, I think that the paths were simpler.
Yes.
And you had to stick or twist. And in those choices were the easiest, the yes or no's. Yeah. I put this on, I cry, I go here, I see this.
Do you know I read something really interesting the other day, and it made so much sense. And it said, like, Gen Zs are behaving like they're 50.
100%.
Millennials are behaving like they're 20.
Yep.
Because Gen Zs are anxious because they've watched their life play out in front of them via scrolling.
Yep. They can see too much.
They see too much into the future of what could be.
Can't feel and
at
can't
20,
act.
They're worried about mortgages, people are telling them business propropositions and all this kind of stuff.
16-year-olds come up to the gym going, I just started into Scott, I saw a French guy, he's a millionaire, how can I make $1 million? I'm like, why are you even, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Like, bro, go Kavos and be sick.
100%. Yeah, but do you feel, and this is an interesting
and then just to finish off that,
of course.
They said the millennials are people, like, say, in their late 40s, 50s or whatever else, who are looking back who are watching the stuff they missed out on. So that's why they want to go out and go, I'll go to IB for this year, because I actually didn't do it when I was 25. Because I had a family or whatever else. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see that.
But isn't it a battle? Isn't that a battle?
Oh, yeah.
Because the millennials are the parents of the Gen Zs who are saying, Jesus Christ, slow down. They're saying you don't know what it feels like. the Gen Z, the millennials, then like, well, yeah, I know, but I like whether you agree with gender dysphoria, which it was in my day, or transgenderism now, the confusion wasn't there. You were or you weren't.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely.
You either went traveling or you didn't. There was no, well, if you go traveling, you might not get a mortgage in 30. People just went.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So in that moment when I'm 15 and I'm confused, if I go online and I look at what my confusion is, it's like when you go on Google, yeah? So I find a red spot on my leg. You go on Google, you're dying of cancer. And you're like, I'm going to die. Like, it's like...
Hey, I had a cyst the other day, somewhere you don't want to get a cyst, and for a month of it going up and down, I had a cancer. Me, as logical as I am, I was phoning my bupa, I was asking friends, I was asking ChatGPT, which I just only got about 3 weeks ago. I was like, should we go up and down?
ChatGPT here, you're going to die.
Oh, 100%. So yeah, so you're 15, you've had all these confusions, all these things. Is this something with therapy you've looked back on and gone, wow, for the next 20 years, I can see what she's saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, understanding that as you get older, but again, because when you're a child or a teenager, or whatever, and you're growing up, you know, like life's so much bigger, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like everything's so much more. Like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Like your first love, when she breaks your heart, it's the end of the world. You know, whereas like now you could logically process it and go, that was terrible. Like I love that woman. She's not in my life anymore. Like, but you then be logical about it. You're not when you're a kid. So, and then you attach that to all the different traumas that have gone on and issues and abandonment issues and whatever else. That will make sense, but not when you're a kid. And that's what I'm saying. If a kid now who would then go online and read about different things and take different perspectives, that's how we end up in this mess of these people not knowing who they are because they don't do the stick or twist.
Yeah.
They just do the information route that has various different information according to your echo chamber.
Yeah. It's like you have to feel change. You can't be told it.
100%. And that's the thing. I'm like, this journey through therapy is really game changing because it's making me go back to being a kid. Like it's almost like a regression. And that's where it all starts. And it all starts at being a kid. And it all starts with a moment and a time and a thing and a period of time. And then you go, that makes sense.
So are there any powerful moments, without trivializing that there may only be 3, that since you've been going to therapy, you've realized were completely complicit in how you felt for 20 years and maybe driven you in a negative way, even though, and I say this to a lot of people, you can get to a positive destination through negativity, which actually dilutes the positivity at the end. I think the American football player, who's the guy that runs out on the field, he does all the huge motivational stuff. Reggie Lewis? Is it Reggie Lewis? Ray Lewis. Seen Ray Lewis? If anyone wants to look up a guy, I think his stepdad beat his mum nearly to death. He got big enough, fought him, beat him up, but ended up. Yeah. But he actually said a lot of the ability to be an animal came with so many negative traits that he actually had to stop himself and be like, right, I don't want this to overly fuel this because I'll end up alone, angry, but the best NFL player in the world.
Yeah.
Do you find that some of these traumas that you found, and I'd like to hear about them, have led you to be majestic, but have also come with a lot of baggage?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the ability to be relentless at doing what I do and selfish with it at times as well, has come from the escapism that it gave me initially. Yeah. Like the escapism of going to my loft and playing records, and the escapism probably, and again, even just saying it now has been almost like a wow moment. It's like the escapism of that noise of the teacher saying, you're lazy and won't do nothing. Well, your version, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll become the best in this field, and that's the thing. It's all of that kind of stuff there, which then becomes like the obsession. And then the negative trait from that is you're so invested in that and your energy is in that you don't look anywhere else, especially not internally. So anything else that's gone on, you can subdue it and suppress it because it's like, it's okay, I'm going to go and do that.
Yeah.
So like, don't worry about feeling about that or talking that out. You're busy over there. You got to go and do that. That's more important right now. And that has been the thing. And again, as I said, for people that know me, the frustrating thing about me is like, how can you operate like this, but you can't sort out your health? And without your health, you're not here. And I've heard it a million times. I've had a doctor say to me, if you don't change things, you'll die.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've said it to you. I worry all the time.
Exactly. And I'm just like, and even that wasn't enough.
Because I guess in a way, you're not translating that.
No.
And that's the key. It
doesn't go in.
It doesn't go in.
No.
Yeah.
And so now, this journey of going inward has led me to then understand that there's no self-love. If you don't have love for something, if you've got like a pair of trainers you don't care about, you throw them in the corner, you don't care. You're going to wash them. You're not going to do stuff with them. So if internally there's no love for yourself, then someone says, I don't care. So what?
And you can't accept love if you don't love yourself.
No, exactly.
Which is unfortunately the thing I've always said that it pains me the most about being your friend as well as your coach is the fact that so many of us love you, but we can see you don't love you. So whereas someone with maybe a bit more internal love would be like, do you know what? You care so much, I'm going to push on.
Yeah.
You don't feel that worth.
No. Whereas now, because I'm coming through the therapy and sort of getting back into the saddle and, slowly getting back into the saddle of, going to be on plan and whatever else, just doing a few brutal things at the start, like I did a 3-day water fast just to show myself that I can.
Brilliant for Food Noise.
Yeah.
You didn't cheat in 3 days.
No, in 3 days I didn't. So I know I can do the thing.
Still DJing, still under pressure.
But coming off the back of that, I have started going down a bit of a slippery slope again. Like, I'll nick a penguin, it's all right. One penguin becomes
classic chocolate bar.
I know.
Hey,
I do a
biscuit.
podcast and all the best crap food if you want.
Yeah, mate, we should. Yeah, McVitie's clubs, they're all going in there. They're all going in there.
But again, back to that dopamine hit.
Yeah, of course.
It's always a biscuit with a bit of milk. And it's like, it hits, it's a hit. And I'm like, bang, here's the hit.
When did you first start? So this is something I'd like to respond to quickly. So obviously food is a form of love, but also self-harm.
Yes, massively. Like I said, back to, what we said earlier about that sort of binging situation. Like again, in the summertime and coming towards the end of it, I was finding myself going past my house to go to the... Mate, why do M&S garages have like BP have an M&S garage that's open 24 hours? Yeah. That's another thing. They should shut food off.
100%.
You should be able to get.
Yep.
But now you can deliver it to your house as well. That's another problem. But so you go there and you've gone in there because I want some Diet Cokes. You know me, I'm a sucker for my Diet Cokes, which I'm trying to replace with sparkling water. But you go in there and then you see it all. You see this array of dopamine in front of you and all you see is dopamine hits. Like, bag of minstrels.
Because ultra-processed food tastes good.
Yeah.
Don't beat around the bush, everyone. Ultra-hyper. They're hyper-palatable. You want 6.
Especially when you're in the craving of it. When you're in the craving and you got the noises and probably the parasites that you're fueling, it's amazing. And even down to, again, back to like the neuro stuff, I'll get into a flavour for a while. So I'll be like, I like minstrels. And I'll smash them for a period of time. And then one day I'll go, I've had enough of them. It's just so like, it's the hyper-focus, right? And so you'd have that. So I was going in and buying not just a bag of minstrels, your share size. So that's a bag of minstrels now.
Yeah, we're big men. You can't just buy them.
And then it's like, but then you see the Maltesers. But I like them as well.
Chocolate buttons are the one.
You see, mate. Then you see it all and you're like, cool. And then, as I said, I'd go home on the sofa on the left-hand side there, Call of Duty on, completely unconscious almost, in the autopilot, bang, eating. And because it was like that hit, that first dopamine hit is like I said, I can only imagine it to be in like watching Train Spotting all them years ago, like that.
Yeah.
When they jack up and they're like, and their eyes roll back. Yeah. That's what it's like. And it's mad to say it. And it's been a real journey for me to come onto the path of going, I suffer from food addiction.
Yeah.
I never wanted to admit I'm an addict. I am. Like, I am addicted to food. And it doesn't mean, and you've been with me on whole days, I'm not sat in KFC every day. And again, I think this is why even visually, where my fat stores, it's all stomach. It's a belly.
Yeah.
I'm not fat, man. Like you said, like, you know.
No, you actually I will love the day when you lose it all because you're way more muscular than people think.
Yeah.
I mean, people will say to me, sure, when we first put your weight out, surely, obviously, you're the same height. And when you're looking at it, I'm like, he's actually a really big, strong guy under there. He's trained all his life,
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, when we were training, the harder you train, the more you crave.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a weird slope because you can't not train hard, but then your cravings kick in because you go in the gym and I've trained with you, smash the gym. Like people will say to me and they do ask, well, does you train like a push? I'm like, no, he smashes football 2-3 hours. It's these moments which we're not with him.
Yeah, that's it. And that is exactly it. And again, like you said, that acceptance of love, to bring it back round, is why now, like I said, I'm finding that slippery slope again. I've been working with, Victor, who you met at the football, who's had an incredibly difficult couple of years personally, with what he's gone through, which is bigger than anything I'll ever understand, man. Do you know what I mean? And shout to Vic. He's been waking up at 6 a.m. and walking with me and going out of his way. Like, same way that you've gone out your way. And before, as I said, like letting you down was like bad. And then I'd go into like spirals of, I've effed it up. Now, because I'm accepting that love from other people and I don't want to let them down, I'm like, I'm going to have to show up and I can't. So that stops today. So I'm not doing that today. So for example, it's like, because I've done that, right, I'm punishing myself today. You did that yesterday. And this is back to, I think now I feel a lot more conscious of decisions and going, I can feel the unconsciousness coming in now. Like, you're going into that mode, get out. So there's a voice. And that voice all comes down to the therapy that I'm receiving and reconnecting with my inner self. And that's what the therapist has got me to do. We've done visualizations and regression things where she's made me reconnect with what she calls little Kev, which is really funny. But it's because my trauma started at a certain age as a kid. And she goes, from that moment there, your world has been fight or flight.
Yeah.
Because you didn't feel safe there.
Now Big Kev's in charge.
Yeah. And she's like, and again, I wouldn't let Leo sit on the sofa eating a bag of minstrels. What are you doing? Get away. My kids are healthy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's the hardest thing. And I find this a lot with people. They go, how come the kids are skinny? I'm like, because you can often care more about those around you than you do yourself. And that's paradoxical again.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is,
physician, heal thyself.
Yeah.
It's easier to give advice than take it.
And I've done that for years, even with mental health. So like now, the adult in me, the adult voice will say to little Kev, no, I'm looking after you. You can't have that. You've had enough. And because there's a connection now, because there's that style of therapy she was telling me about where they actually have 3 chairs where you go and speak to the therapist will speak to your kid self, your adult self, and another one. It's like, it's crazy.
Is that like the future self you want to be?
Yeah.
And
it's just like, it sounds, even a thing that we did during the session, again, I'm open about it because I don't think it should be like a dirty secret. Like even the process that we went through, we did a regressional thing the other week where it felt like she hypnotized me. And I think, I've seen hypnosis before and how it works. And obviously you need to be susceptible to go under. So you got to be ready and do your breathing, whatever else. But they always have like motifs and repetition.
Yeah.
So she kept going to me, you're walking down a long corridor, gleaming white walls, wood doors, wooden floor. Then she'd talk, gleaming white walls, wooden door. I was like, cool. And then so you're in the visualization process. And basically, she made me regress to a period of time where I must have been about 7 or 8. She's like, can you see little Kev? I'm like, I'm in my room. What's going on? He's there. He's in a Spurs shirt, right? And I could even see which Spurs shirt it was, yeah?
The Holston shit.
No, this was the pony one.
Oh,
with Hewlett Packard.
Yeah, Hewlett Packard. Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the Ginola era. And so I can see it, got that on. How does he look? And I'm talking to her. He looks sad. But I'm in floods of tears. Like literally, like you know when you can't control it and you're trying to control it. She's like, it's fine, let it out, let it out. All this and she says, ask him what's wrong. And like I'm asking honestly, it felt like I was there in the room. You know, like when you watch films and they go back and see something or whatever. It was like that. And I was like, he's sad, he's worried his mum and dad are going to get divorced. Because mum and parents got divorced. But imagine in this moment, I'm 7. My parents didn't get divorced till I was 23. So I had that anxiety hanging over me for years and all that, you know, being involved in that kind of energy. So I was like, yeah, it was mad. And she's like, tell him it's going to be okay. Bring him, when he come with you, bring him with you. So she basically, the whole thing was like reconnected myself to that little boy who was scared that day. Because on that moment there, he had to grow up because he was in fight or flight response. And like you said, at that moment in time, you then create coping mechanisms. How am I gonna get through this? How am I gonna go to school tomorrow? How am I gonna feel? And that's when it all starts. And so yeah, it's as small as a moment as that. And it was like, I spoke to my sister who's been through therapy and was telling me for ages to go and do therapy. And I didn't listen. And you know, I think she'd done the similar thing. And I realized like me and her are trauma bonded. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And like, yeah. So being on this journey has made me realize so that stuff. And then the other thing is, as we've been tiptoeing around the whole thing, is ADHD.
Which if you then link back to the fact that you're going through trauma, can't synthesize enough dopamine anyway. So whereas different traumas I've been through, I've been able to get myself out of it due to certain triggers. You're trying to lift something which can't be lifted because the dopamine isn't lifting. If you think of, I always say, think of dopamine like loads of balloons grabbing your problems.
Yeah.
You can't facilitate that. So you're even deeper. And obviously dopamine, serotonin also helps you focus. So you can't come out with any solutions. So you're basically in fight or flight.
Yeah, the whole time.
The whole time. And 20 years of fight or flight's big.
Yep. And then you go environmental. I grew up in North London in Enfield. Yep.
Which is now full of dog grooming and rooftop bars, nothing like it was back in the day.
Well, and like, you know, you think of back, was it 2012, the riots, Tottenham, Enfield, like, that's where I grew up in North. So, you know, at 12 years of age, I got jumped on by 6 olders, battered, like my ribs broken because I did run out my mouth. It was my fault. You learn a lesson.
Yeah.
I think I gave them the degeneration, suck it. In the swimming pool, they said, right, watch, I got battered. Like, and then like every weekend, someone was trying to mug us. I'm outside an under-18s disco, I've seen someone get slashed.
Yeah.
Like, you know, all of these things. And then from 15, I'm on pirate radio. I'm seeing a lot of things. Like, and again, so naive. I just want to do music. It's all I want to do, but it comes with all different things. So when I'm telling my therapist all this, she's like, wow, like, this is not normal. I grew up thinking it's normal.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you realize it's not. Even when I've told stories and we're in certain situations, people are like, that's not normal. And it's like, oh, is that not what people do? Like,
and then obviously, you know, you grew up then in your 20s in the garage scene.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it was a very...
I've seen someone get shot in the club. Like,
and I tell people it's the clubs and these situations back in 95, 2000 aren't there anymore.
No.
People used to be shot. I remember in Brixton Academy once when someone was shot outside.
Yeah.
You know, first time I went there, I was like, Jesus Christ.
I don't know whether it's the CCTV everywhere now. People can't really be on moves the way they were. Yeah. You know, but it was like that, you know. I had like, you know, people trying to extort me when I was 18. Like, you know, all sorts of madnesses that I've gone on. And, you know, that, again, fight or flight.
Yeah.
You know, even down to like, Emma's always said it, I'll go into a restaurant, I'll look everywhere. And she's like, what are you looking for? I'm like, I just, how I've grown up. Like, you need to know where the exits are, who's in here, and where they are. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And again, and I am...
But that's a form of, like, the military talk about, that's a form of hypnosis. You've got into such a state over that formative period that you're now ingrained into being someone who looks at doors, who's been mugged, who in theory is used to it. So you're instantly less sensitive.
Yeah.
Less sensitive people do and think worse things.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you get desensitized by it.
Yeah.
And that's another problem, back to what we're saying about the phones and the too much information now. We're desensitized to the images.
God, yeah.
Do you remember when like you first saw the images of the famine in Ethiopia before Live Aid or whatever else, you know, or like the early 90s, I think it was Sudan, wasn't it? Like, you know, it was broke our hearts seeing these poor little kids. That's how, you know, children in need and Comic Relief would get you those images. Now you go onto TikTok, you scroll, and you might see a poor kid in Palestine or whatever else being blown to pieces, but that becomes normal. And normalizing this stuff is effed, you know.
But I remember seeing, God, do you ever remember when the cartels first started to execute people? I think there's a video of two guys getting, I think, the head sawn off or cut.
Do you know, I saw a funny meme the other day. It said, reason why us millennials are so effed up, ogrish.com.
Yeah, so,
mate, ogrish.
Without telling people too much, and I remember 2 days ago, someone sent me a whole Instagram account up with people getting shot and killed horribly around the world. And I was flicking a few videos and I was like, why isn't this having the same effect as that website had?
Yeah.
And it's brutal. I can't believe Instagram take down posts with nudity and they don't take down this stuff.
I know.
But I'm a worse person for being able to scroll that without being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was just like that. Whoa, why didn't he? That shot from close range. Why didn't like, and that must have an effect on you.
100%.
Personified.
Yeah, and like that video too, but I'm sure it must be the same one. I'm sure that they literally got a boot on a man's head.
Yep.
I think it's a Chechnya rebel.
Yep. Oh, was it? But I remember watching it going,
yeah.
You could almost...
You heard the noise.
How hard is it to cut through someone's neck?
And again, at that point in time, we've never seen anything like this.
It made me feel bad for like 3 days.
100%. It stayed with me. Even down to the first time you saw pornographic images of like hardcore pornographic stuff. Some of the stuff that they're doing has stayed. That first moment stayed with me because it's so shocking.
Yeah, of course.
And again, you know, to bring this all back to what we're saying, in the fight or flight response, it's like now we're in a place where we're becoming desensitized because we've got too much information and stuff. So this whole new generation of people are growing up in a completely different way. Mm-hmm. That's why anxiety is through the roof. But, you know, back to what we're saying, all the things that we'd gone through were actually traumatic. When you deep them, they've had an effect on everything, every last part of your life, you know.
And you're now unpacking these at 38, having already assumed by most people's standards, you've achieved hyper success. You should have gone through that. Now you're realizing that actually in things that are important to you, like your weight and health, you're having to, and it takes balls to like you're saying, you know, how many therapy sessions you had now?
Oh God, we must be at least to post 10.
Yeah.
Like you said, showing up's good. The next one's even better. Can you do 3? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, this is how important therapy is to me. I have cancelled my Australian and Bali tour. That's because of my mental and physical health. I don't want to miss my sessions. I go at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like I think it's just Tuesday I go. And, you know, I get up and I go to it. I'm never late, and you know about my time blindness. She's like, well, my reality of you, Kev, is you're not late. You're really punctual. I'm like, don't ask anyone that knows me. My Kev time's terrible. And then, and I, do you know, I pay for it and I could put it through my business easily. I pay for it from my current account that says Kevin Christie. Yeah. Because it's for Kevin. It's not for Majestic.
Yeah. And that's important because I don't think people realize, unless they know you are two different people.
Yeah. It is so, yeah. Majestic is a very amplified version of Kev. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, even in my private life and whatever else, I'm funny, I'll bust joke and whatever else. But, you know, I don't like, if I'm at home, you know, with the family or friends, like, I'm happy to not be the one holding court. Do you know what I mean? I'm very happy to be, and again, I think, you know, I am definitely an alpha male in all aspects. But I think the truest alphas are able to step back and let someone else do that role as well. That's what big true leaders are as well. They let other people lead. If you're confident enough to let other people lead, you get better results anyway. Like if you're, you know, got someone with a better skill set than you. So yeah, it's been really positive to be able to now retune in, refind and connect with Kev, starting with little Kev and then Kev myself. And you know, like I helped run Leo's football team. Loved that, man. Like I was in Skegness last week doing a big up DJ Spoonie. I was doing his weekender. Big up Will, drove home. We got home at 1:30. I was in the studio till 4, finishing my radio show for the next day. I was up at 8 to go and do Leo's football. And because that brings me joy, being there for my son in his football, because these are the things that matter. And I think since I've done therapy, be interesting, you can ask Em, I think I'm definitely more present. I'm in the present. No, I could be at the dinner table with them and the kids and I'd be completely lost.
Yeah.
You know, and I look back at it now and realize that, wow, for so long I was just there, like in that place. And it's funny because, you know, we've mentioned Will already from Beyond Chicago, who's like my little brother. He knows my energy. He's a good energy reader, Will. It's one thing he really is good at. You can't ever knock him for. And he's, you know, his charm and his energy is why he gets far in life. And he knows. I don't have to speak. I can get into his car, he'll know what mood I'm in. And he's said since I've had therapy, I'm like the best me again. Like the one who's fun and having a laugh. And
yeah, I noticed, I was saying this to Will last night, your tone of, because I've spoke to you all the way through it.
Yeah.
And your tone, the way you could say hello, or you could say boss man geezer, and your tonality changes.
100%.
One thing I will say about you is, even in your darkest moments, you're one of the only people who, because obviously when my son was born, we thought he had meningitis, he had strep B. You were one of the only people who every day, every other day, months after would be like, how's Fox? How's your son? And that is something which I think almost frustrated a lot of us about your 365 health journey, is you are so sensitive to other people's needs, but never your own.
Yeah.
Like I will say to people now, you will say, boss man, feeling better now, got over. Whereas friends of mine will be like, oh shit, I forgot you all had this virus for 3 weeks. You almost tune into other people to detune yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And again, you know, I've always been an empath.
Yeah, you can see it, Milo.
To the point of like, it's almost destroyed me. Yeah. And you know the Green Mile?
Yeah.
What
John
film?
Coffin.
Big balls, gonna have some cornbread balls. It's such a great film. And when watching that as an older and truly understanding it, I was like, oh my God, the penny dropped. I was like, he's an empath who eventually has to die because he cannot take any more of that energy in that he tries to heal other people with, you know, and they make him out to be the monster, of course, so that's why he ends up dying. But, you know, when he takes all those bad things from people, takes on their problems, you know, he had this ability to then spit it out. But when he couldn't do it anymore, that's when he had to die, you know. And I was like, oh my God, it resonated so much with me that I take on so much of other people's stuff that there's nothing left for me. And they always say, you can't pour from an empty cup and all that kind of stuff. I just ignored it, like. And now, that's why I am really careful of whose energy I'll take on and have around me, because there are massive energy vampires out there, for one. Second of all, you know, the people that just want things from you all the time.
I think the problem is you're such a giving person that, and unfortunately I found this, they do. And people, and I don't know whether, everyone always says don't put down to malice what can be stupidity. And I say, no, I think some people deliberately use people. And the unfortunate thing is you'll never be used as much until you're successful.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, I don't have enough time. So who deserves my time? Well, there's a pecking order. You know, my wife and kids come first. Like that's what has to be. So that's why now, even down to like, right, you know, and bless them, you know, my missus does the bulk of the, if not all of the running of the house. And they're taking the kids here, there and everywhere. Incredible mum. Like, that's why my kids, you know, obviously I've had a role in it, but my kids are amazing because of her. Like, and, you know, what an amazing supportive mum that takes her son football and then her daughter ballet and has an interest and cares and all that kind of stuff. So I'm even present now, like, can I help you? Like, what can I do today? And then I'll go and get the kiss show done earlier this time. And I'll do that. And that's becoming conscious. And that's all come down to understanding. And this is why I went with this therapist, is I have now been diagnosed with ADHD, which we've always known that, you know, I've had. But to have that confirmed is life affirming, because I'm not lazy. Yeah, as you know, because I'm in the gym with him, and you're a big guy that can train, and like me and you are doing it, and like we've got other people with like Will, like, come on, Will, do a bit more. You know what I mean? And we're killing Will.
And that unfortunately is almost your like sword of Damocles, because you have the potential, and at every failure point, it's almost worse because you're not just someone who can't do it. And you kind of look at them and go, the kids in sport, and you go, bless him, but it's about as good as it gets. Even if we get in private help, with you, it's kind of like, oh, you've actually got good genetics for this.
Yeah.
When you lost the 4 stone in 4 months, 10 in 10, 12 in 12, it's
that's
there.
Right. It's there.
So the fall almost is your own self boot up the art. You're like,
it's frustrating because you're just like, oh, mate, you're close. What are you doing? Like, and again, as I say, looking at it, the dopamine's worn off from the journey. It's like, well, I'm back into this job. That's all right. You know what I mean? Like, rather than
it happens to, I said 50% of people. There's people listening to this now who, a woman last night, she went, "Do you know what, Scott? I think I'm going to take a few months off. I think I've learned enough." And I said to her, you haven't, you don't. It's not a financial thing. So it's not like I'm trying to grab you back, but I know you're going to be someone next year who messages me again.
Yeah, then you put it on.
And she was adamant, but I was like, I get it. It's getting hard now and the dopamine's worn off.
Yeah.
And you think you've done enough, because the next stage that you're talking about is the one where we all had the dopamine still rushing.
Yeah.
And you've gone, oh, this dress feels good. I'll be fine. And I said to her, Christmas is coming. It motherfucks all of us, even me. I'll turn up in January 2 kilograms, 2 kilograms heavier. May not be 10 like another person, but so I said to her, how are you doing this without me? But like you've just said, it's enough.
Yeah, it's enough. And it's just like, but that wasn't the end goal. Enough wasn't the end goal.
Yeah,
the end goal was the big picture. But and so I was just like, that's why it's frustrating with me, because you just know, there's just that next bit, come on. Like, but to be able to do that next bit, you got to go down to the root cause and go, what is this? Why is this happening? And now understanding it, my left or right is, do I go on meds and try and regulate? And speaking to a lot of friends who've done it, they said the food noise stops. The father from school I mentioned, David, he lost 1.5 stone in a month.
Yeah, a lot of things like Elvance, because they're amphetamine based at the heart.
Yeah,
they do curb cravings, or to the point where you're able to then put, like you've said, another step in place. The first craving for the penguin isn't there, so instantly you go, oh, chicken bowl, gym, move.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that's the logical way of thinking about it. And because when you're on the meds, apparently the voices are less.
Of course.
So you can focus on the internal one that says, bit of protein. And the thing is, when you do that and you avoid the sugar or whatever else, you feel good for it. And
you don't get the crash, which is the major
thing.
And
you feel good. Like I said, during that water fast, the 3-day water fast, all I kept dreaming of was a Greek salad. It wasn't sweets or anything, just feta, oil, oregano.
Probably no dopamine crash. You're not trying to, your brain wasn't thinking of the next dopamine. No. It was just thinking of things that nourish you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that tastes good. And the thing is, again, I love healthy food.
You do.
I love eating healthy food. And like, we cook healthy and stuff for the kids. And, like I said, mine has all been sugar. So it's like, it's not even like food addiction, because it's not like I want McDonald's McDonald's is shit, by the way. Yeah. How bad is McDonald's?
I don't understand how people crave it. People
it's not crap.
I'm like, it's absolute bullshit.
It was good. It was good.
Oh God, in the 90s,
Let's have it right. When you had the polystyrene Big Mac, it's banging. Yeah. Double cheeseburgers now, they would come out, they're never cooked properly. Like in terms of, I want the cheese melting. I want that paper.
Yeah, it looks like crap
greasy.
Cheese from a kid's set.
Exactly.
It sits on there like plastic.
The only thing McDonald's still do good is breakfast. Breakfast is good.
I've not had breakfast in years. Pancakes, my daughter used to always get, and people just go, how come? I'm like, it's pancake. It's a pancake. Yeah. You can't really ultra process a pancake.
No.
You know what I mean?
And like the egg McMuffin and the sausage McMuffin are banging.
Mate.
That's so good.
Full of salt, which is now good for you.
Yeah.
So big up McDonald's for salt and everything.
Yeah. But it comes in the package, it's greasy as hell. You're like,
yeah.
That's banging.
And I don't deny it to anyone. People go, I don't deny that hyperpalatable food is great.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, let's try and keep it in a marginal percentage so you don't completely fuck yourself.
Yeah, but even when I've been on plan and I've been on the move before, I've had a sausage and muffin, I threw the muffin away. Do you know what I mean? It's all right, like, keep it moving. But really understanding that for mine, it's been sugar. So like more than food addiction, a sugar addiction, which comes to replacing the dopamine, getting the quick fix, the quick hit, which leads to crashes, which leads to weight gain, which makes it impossible to lose weight, especially visceral fat.
Of course. Self-hate,
and this is where we're at.
Cycle. But I would argue to people, someone, obviously your really heartfelt video went to the masses, and we probably had a dozen messages within 10 seconds saying, what do you think? And I said, you know what? And I'll be deadly honest. If it takes him 2 or 3 years to find the solution.
Yes.
So, and I won't name the name, and people always say when I do anonymous things, it's still disrespectful. I totally disagree. Without knowing someone, it could be anybody. I've had a client lose 10 stone twice.
Wow.
She's now gone AWOL again. I've told her from day one, and again, don't have to knight me as Christ the Savior. I sent her stuff to her house from Amazon to train at home, off my own bat, no fee, don't need it, to help her get through the things which she said were the problems when it wasn't. It's her psychology.
Yeah.
Partner's not actually that supportive, blah, blah, blah. But I said to my PA the other day, I said, she'll be back next year, 10 stone heavier again. She's lost 20 stone in total in 5 years, but I know what it is. So she can do it. It's the point where the demons get to her and people around her enable her and she stops. It's almost like watching a race car stop. Yeah. When it stops, it stops. And I said to someone today, if it takes Kev 3 years to lose the weight, this year, 365 will mean more than simply him doing 10 stone in 10 months and then not learning and putting 5 on, because then we'll never get there. And this will be a decade journey.
100%. And I feel from that point of I felt like failure, in actual fact, the best thing that ever happened come out of it, which was the therapy. And I don't think I'd get to that point, because if I'd lost the weight, I'd be like, everything's fine, because I've always associated that being the only part of my life that I'm not great at. Yeah.
And you'd have put it down to just hard work, which we all know you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, you know, all of the problems that I'm discovering with therapy and that I felt like that, you know, I've put down to my being overweight, going, so when that's fixed, it must be the end of it. Like you said, the demons would have come again going, but I've just lost 10 stone. Why do I feel like this?
Yeah. And then you'll have probably said, well, the food wasn't the problem then.
That's
right.
And
then you start eating again.
Exactly that. Or even worse, you start drinking or whatever else. And that's it. It's like the journey that I've been on and the learning of it has taught me so many things. It's taught me, one, that I actually have a really high level of resilience. I can, in the darkest moments.
Yeah, you've never quit 365 yet.
No, I can get through it. You know, even like in the moment when I'm like, when I was training in the desert of Ant Middleton, and you know, geezer killed me. Like, I didn't even put the video up properly. I'm going to put it up. He absolutely killed me. And I'm like, genuinely running up a sandbank thinking, when I got to the top, thinking I was going to have a heart attack. Literally to the point of like, I think like, I was just like, I'm going to die. Like, couldn't breathe. Like, I got through it. And there's like, I'm doing press-ups in the dirt and stuff. And again, there's, you know, these are hard things for me to do. And I was able to do it. Like, I can do anything, but I have to have my mind right. If my mind isn't right, then it's not gonna, it's like fueling your car with petrol. I've got petrol, but I've got no engine oil. I've got no water cooling.
And it lasts for so long.
Yeah, it's only gonna go and then the rest of it's messed up. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do, is get the inner self right before changing the out. I've got to big up Mr. Jam, because he's lost a lot of weight. He looks really good. Smashed it. And he's always said, excuse me, this is the hecticness of the no sleep. If you don't get that right and you don't get the spiritual right, the physical won't ever follow.
As the Japanese quote goes, if there's no enemy within, the enemy without can do me no harm.
Yeah.
It makes you impregnable. And I think one of the...
Even down to now, before I'd go on a bit of a mad one and get really upset when people leave comments on YouTube or whatever else, or TikTok. You get them all. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're in the public eye, you're going to get hate, right? So, like the other day, someone was like, I commented on some music thing, and they were like, oh God, excuse me, listeners. No one wants to hear me yawn. But they were like, oh yeah, and you could just take a disco song and claim it's your own, like basically talking about the success of Boney M that I had with Rasputin. I was like, excuse me, sorry, I'm just gonna go and cry into my Grammy nomination and my plaques on my wall. Be right back. And then, like, it's the first time I did not care about their comment. I just wanted to give them something salty back, rather than saying something, trying to make them like me.
Yeah,
but I used to do a lot.
Yeah,
I don't care now. I don't give a shit what people think. I care about the people I care about, what they think.
So do you care about you more now?
I care about me, exactly. I know what I am now. I know what I am. I know what I'm not. I know what I need to improve, and I know what I'm not good at. Like, and I know what I'm good at as well. And that's that. So that makes power.
Yeah, of course. And I hope people around you see now, after the video, after this, is that you do need help in the things you're not great at.
Absolutely.
And I think people that I've spoke to around you kind of thought you didn't want it. And I said, once you're at home with yourself, you will be open to help. Some of the strongest people I know have the most help.
Yeah. Like, for example, like with me, if someone came round that I know, whatever, and said, I know you're on your journey, here's 5 meals for the week, I'd be like, oh, thanks, man. And I'd eat them because someone's done something that I'm not going to do. Like, I'm not thinking about it. So, and that's how you can. But again, as I say, because I am now for a dominant force, you know, sometimes it is hard to tell me, and I'm aware of that, and that's absolutely fine. But I know that.
And that can be the struggle, I think, is having the ability to step back with the people around you and say, I can be overly controlling, I can be obstructive, I can be in denial, you know. And that's one of the things. So, you know, what would you say to people who don't fully understand themselves? Because obviously going into therapy is tough.
Yeah.
Dealing with trauma is tough, you know, and obviously it can be scary. As a final message to people who've seen 365, followed you, what would you tell them are your next steps? What do you want to get out of Kev?
Is consistency in all areas, bit of structure, which I've always been anti-structure because I've been chaotic, because my mind's been chaotic. And, you know when they say like a dirty room reflects a dirty mind?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
See my room at times, terrible. So yeah, it's all about that. And even small steps, like on a Sunday night when I do my TalkSport show, Monday morning I might have to do the TalkSport Spurs podcast. On a Sunday night I'll have TalkSport with Alan Pardew. The next day I'll be doing a Spurs podcast. Normally I'd go home and then come back into town. I've been booking the hotel over the road from me because I can go after TalkSport. I'm in bed by 10. I get a full night's sleep, 7, 8 o'clock. I'm not rushing in the morning. I go downstairs, have some eggs and whatever else. And I just walk over on time, sometimes early, to talk sport. And my therapist was like, that's massive for you.
Of course.
Like, you're taking the option of, I'll stay. I'll look after myself first. And then I'm going to do work after that. So yeah, they're the steps, the self-care.
And don't think of therapy as a dirty word.
Therapy isn't a dirty word, and it's like, as much as it's felt like it's been a desperate cry for help for me, it hasn't been that at all. It's been a revelation, and it's something that I would recommend to everyone.
What I'd love to do is come back in a year's time and do this again.
It would be good, wouldn't it?
And see what we've done, because we should have done more at the start. But obviously, anyone who wants to see the start of Project 365,
yes,
my page, Kev's page,
yes, there.
What is your Instagram? It is just at
Majestic Online.
Yeah, Majestic Online.
Find me online. Because the other thing now is, going into next year, it's my last year of my 30s. So before 40, I want the change.
Yeah.
So we got time on our side.
And we do, and that's one thing I want to tell people. It is cliched. It's never too late. But look inward before you look outward is the key.
That's it. I think, as we said before from the start, you can't build anything on dusty foundations or weak foundations. You need good support, and you need to truly care about yourself. And that doesn't mean you're selfish. It doesn't mean you're bad. It means that you're looking after number one, because the best analogy is, on a plane, when the oxygen masks come down, what do they tell you to do?
Put yours on first.
Put yours on first. even if it's your kid next to you,
of course.
your love of your life. Now let me do you, because I'm okay. Once I'm okay, I can help you. And that's what I'm trying to do.
I think that's
And I'm saying it to people, and even on WhatsApp, so I'm like, I'm not okay right now. I'm working on myself. I'll try and come back to you if I can. Okay, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's a perfect thing to end on.
I think it is. And I think, like I said, I think we could probably do another podcast, another time, part 2 about ADHD and dealing with that. But yeah, I think we got to a nice place.
Thanks, Kev.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.